Coming up on Amy and Dave's Friday Fix.
I try to contact the other side by asking the big questions.
What did you have for dinner?
We find out if old horror films are still scary.
And Claire teaches us how to get a frightening Halloween look.
Hello and welcome to our Halloween special of Friday Fix.
As you just saw, we have some spooktacular treats lined up, and Joe Lenton will be joining us later with all this week's celebrity gossip.
As always, if you've got anything to say about the show, you can get in touch on Facebook at facebook.com/Friday Fix or via Twitter using the hashtag Friday Fix.
So let's get this show started, and we turn to this week's presenter challenge. As you know, last week Amy decided to send me paragliding, which ended up with me taking a half-hour flight over Sussex.
So Dave thought it would be hilarious to send his easily scared co-host to a set of haunted tunnels in Kent. Thanks for that.
That's all right.
Welcome to this week's Presenters Halloween Challenge. Today I am at Fort Horsted in Rochester, Kent. Now in a minute, me and the crew are going to go inside, into the tunnels in complete darkness. Let's go have a look. This fort is said to be one of the most active haunted locations in Kent. With the tunnels being closed to the public, they have laid virtually untouched for years, up until today. The building itself was actually built by convicts in the mid-1800s. For the next 60 years, the fort was used by the military for the storage and production of ammunition for the war. On the 15th of September 1940, during the Battle of Britain, an observer reported seeing 6 enemy aircraft shot down over the fort over a 20-minute period. In 1976, an enormous fire broke out and burned for weeks. After the blaze, the buildings fell into disrepair and have remained the same ever since. So if we do witness any activity later on, it could be linked to any of those periods in time. So now we've had a look around in the day, it's time to turn out all the lights and go into the darkness. Join us back in part 2 to see what we find. Can I leave yet? What did you have for dinner?
That lets me.
Oh my god! That must have been the scariest night of my life.
I really can't wait to see what happens next now.
Well, the second half of this week's presenter challenge is coming up later on.
Now, who doesn't like a scary film? And as it's Halloween, we thought we'd take a look back at a classic creepy film and see if it can still scare audiences today.
Nosferatu is a horror film released in 1922, created by the German director F.W. Murnau. The film is considered one of the greatest horror films of all time, but don't take my word for it. Here's an expert's opinion on what it's about and why it's so great.
Well, it's about vampires, really. And it's about a whole lot more than that. But it's essentially a really significant film in relation to the horror genre. It's powerful and strange and odd, familiar, uncanny. At its essence, it touches elements of the human psyche and the human personality that are dark, mysterious, and remain, in a way, universal.
Here at Friday Fix, we love a good classic horror film, but what do you guys think? We asked 2 students to take a look at the film and give us their opinion.
I quite like the film. It was quite creepy, I could see it being quite terrifying when it was first released. Like when Count Orlok is walking up the stairs and you see his shadow ascending on the wall as he's going up. The image sticks with you.
I thought it was a good film from an academic point of view, but it's not my own personal taste. I wouldn't sit at home on a Friday night with popcorn and watch it. Probably the highlight of the film would be when they're on the ship and they go underneath and they look and all the rats are coming out the crate because it's really creepy, and then he just sits up and he just rises out this crate and he's looking really creepy and horrible. I definitely wouldn't want to see that if I went downstairs on a ship.
I think it can be argued that just about every development that one sees in certainly the vampire film and possibly in horror itself is prefigured in some way within Murnau's film.
Horror has completely changed from the 1920s. It's a completely different thing now. There's so many genres, there's so many sub-genres of horror that I don't think people would be completely interested in it.
I don't think it would be fair to compare it to modern films in as to whether it's better or as good, because different eras have different cultures, and this is definitely a product of the German culture of the time.
Without a doubt, Nosferatu is the master, and it's possibly the greatest horror film of all time.
Well, we're now joined by our entertainment expert and celebrity know-it-all, Joe Lenton, who's tracked down all the latest and best celebrity gossip for us.
Hello.
Hello, Joe. How are you? Thanks for coming.
Very well. Nice to be back.
Good. So our first story, James Arthur has quit Twitter.
He has indeed. He has left Twitter in a rage because he just seems to be getting into fights with everyone these days. He's actually had a fight with Frankie Boyle and lost miserably, as one would expect when you fight with Frankie Boyle. He tweeted saying, hashtag love to my fans, but I'm coming off Twitter for good. HQ will be doing all my tweets from now on. Peace, in capital letters. So I guess he really means it if you put it in capitals.
Well, like you said, if you're going to fight with Frankie Boyle, you're going to lose. In other news, Jessie J has a new album.
Yes, her new album, Alive, is released tomorrow. Features the singles Wild and It's My Party, which are two singles that have done quite well already. Very good reviews, very high charting. It's been 2 years since she released her last album, which was Who You Are, did very well in the charts. This one's looking to do as well as that as well. So, yeah, pretty impressive. Track to download is I Miss Her, which is an emotional ballad. Very sad, but very nice.
Excellent. So, in more music news, McBusted have released new tour dates.
Yes, they have indeed.
This is exciting news.
Yes, they've released more tour dates due to absolutely insane demand. I mean, like, people have been snapping these things up like crazy. I think it's partially due to nostalgia. Partially due to the fact that they just like the songs and stuff like that. So the new tickets go on sale next Monday, which brings the total of shows up to 21. And Tom Fletcher of McFly has said that while for now it's just the tour, they are considering doing potentially more music in the future. So we'll have to see.
Oh, I am so excited about that. But in other news, Jamie Dornan has been cast in the new 50 Shades of Grey film.
Yes, he has. Jamie Dornan from Once Upon a Time, a US TV series, has replaced Charlie Hunnam, also of US TV series Sons of Anarchy. It's kind of a mutual thing. Hunnam wanted to leave to spend a bit more time with his family and his friends and commit to Sons of Anarchy, and the fans seem to have reacted really warmly to Jamie Dornan, so it seems to have gone down pretty well for everybody there.
Okay, and finally, it's Halloween, so everyone's trying to sort their costumes out.
Yes.
What celebrities are dressing up?
Well, let
who's
me tell
hot,
you,
who's not?
as always, every year you get some great costumes and you get some not so great costumes. This year, a great costume from Demi Lovato, who was dressed in a classic bloodstained look with very spooky contact lenses to match, and she looks pretty frightening. Also frightening, but possibly not in the way he would have intended. Perez Hilton, the internet trash blogger, has decided to take inspiration from Miss Miley Cyrus, this year's twerking sensation, by doing her outfit from the VMAs, which I think everyone knows quite well. And Neil Patrick Harris and his partner David Burtka have done some pretty funky Halloween costumes this year, going as the characters from Alice in Wonderland and Frankenstein and Dracula as well. So they've been doing two types of costumes.
But it looks adorable. Thanks for that, Joe. Now, talking of Halloween looks, if you're heading out to a spooky party tonight, you better have your frightening look ready. But if you haven't, fear not. I've been to see our beauty expert Claire, who has a quick and easy look that won't break the bank.
As Halloween is fast approaching, everyone's wondering what they're going to go as this year. Our favourite celebs have got into the Halloween spirit and managed to look fabulous even with a scary twist. But how? To make the dress a less of a stress, I'm going to show you how to apply your makeup to get a spooky skeleton effect while keeping within the budget. First thing you do is apply the base coat to the face. For this you use white face paint. Make sure you cover your face entirely to get that pale pasty look. One thing to make sure of is to use it right up to the eye and get it into any crooks and crannies that might have been missed. This will make sure that the look is effective, especially if there's no skin on show. Next, we're going to surround the eyes with similar black face paint. This will ensure that we get the cutout look when the makeup is complete. Make sure you go right up to the brow and back down into the corners. You can add flicks on either side to make the look more effective. Then we start on the nose. Skeletons have a hole where the nasal passage is on a normal human face. To create this effect, we are going to carry on using the same black face paint. Start with drawing a V halfway up your nose and carry on by filling in with face paint under your nostrils. Now we're going to tackle the mouth. To do this, simply get a liquid liner and draw an extended horizontal line from one cheek to the other, passing through the lips. Cover this line with small vertical lines to create teeth. To finish this step, draw 2 half moons on each cheek and shade in. Finally, we add the final stages of the makeup, which is shading. For this, I suggest you use black eyeshadow and a normal makeup brush. Shade above and below the eye to give the sunken in look. Also, do this around the corners of your forehead and lips to give the finished spooky effects. With this, the look is complete.
Thanks, Claire. Next, it's time to return to this week's presenter challenge, where I've sent Amy to Fort Horsted in Kent, an active paranormal Victorian fort. In part 2, Amy and the crew are plunged into total darkness. Take a look at this.
Welcome back to part 2 of our little adventure. Now it's time to turn out all the lights. But first, I'd like to introduce you to my crew. These are the guys that will be joining me in the dark. And the camera woman. Let's turn out the lights, guys. Is there anyone with us? Knock once if yes. I think we'll have to go a bit further in. Never know what else you might find. All these scratch marks.
People right there.
That's how I'm being dragged.
That's nice.
If you look down, it looks like a person. Right, I'm going to put this behind me, and I'm going to cover the screen so no one can see it because I don't want us all to get scared. Ready? 3, 2, 1. That's amazing! I'm not even joking. There's nothing. There's nothing. Right, one more time. That's so good. That's like scuffling of feet or something.
I really feel uncomfortable.
It sounds like boots.
I really feel uncomfortable.
Right, last time. It sounds like boots, and the only 2 people that are wearing boots here are me and Rebecca.
We haven't moved.
And we haven't moved our feet. I'm going to put this in the back. Right, shall I ask? One last time.
Okay. I just feel awful.
It's not something.
I really don't feel very well.
Right, let's do it.
Okay.
Okay, one more time.
Let's do it.
If we hear something, don't react to it, just keep quiet.
Okay.
If you listen closely, our microphone may have picked up some paranormal activity. Well, that's my challenge done. I've been scared witless and possibly seen some supernatural things. But unfortunately for my co-host, in a fortnight's time, he's going to have to do something similar. But you can get in on the action by going on Twitter and using our hashtag FridayFix. There you can suggest whatever you want. Seriously, whatever you want him to do. And he has no choice but to do it. Back to the studio. And if you want to see even more from this week's Presenters Challenge, head to the website bbc.co.uk/FridayFix.
That's about it from us tonight, but a quick sneak peek at next week's show. Joining us live in the studio will be the one and only Katy Perry, who will be performing her new single, Unconditionally.
Joe will be back with even more hot gossip, and we will have an exclusive first look at the Hunger Games catching fire.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.